Hello, everyone, and welcome to our last final Grudge match here of the day between Todd Stevens playing Nye Aetherworks and Jim Davis playing at Teamer Aetherworks. These two having some fun in a high-pressure situation as they decide who is going to go first. For Stevens, it is his first Players' Championship, a long-time goal of his. For Jim Davis, he's the defending champion. It's his third one. Davis had his back against the wall last year in this same situation. He was able to work himself out of it and work himself towards the title. So we will see if he can do it yet again as these players shake hands and prepare for the most important match of their tournament. As here's an Attune with Aether here from Todd Stevens. 2 energy and a basic land on the way for the Texas native. We'll be heading over to Jim Davis, who is on 5 cards to start this game. Not ideal, to say the least, as he picks up a copy of Chandra. For Davis, he'll play a basic mountain. Simply pass the turn back, over to Stevens. Stevens will draw a copy of Nahiri. We know how important that card is in this matchup. For now, he has a Servant of the Conduit. He's up to 4 energy, and it's an ideal start, I would say, here for Todd.
Yeah, setting the stage here for a potential turn 3 Planeswalker.
A mountain, the draw for Davis. He does have a copy of Harnessed Lightning in hand. Jim will play a mountain. There is Harnessed Lightning. He'll have 1 energy left over as we head back over to Todd Stevens. Stevens going to untap and draw. Picked up a copy of Aether Hub. Here is Attune. 2 more energy on the way is going to bring him up to 6. A Puzzle Knot's going to bring him up life and energy. So it's 9 energy, 23 life, and land's not an issue. The question now is does he have the Marvel as he searches for a basic planes?
He is well set up here to activate Marvel at least once and at least twice, actually, on the table.
Mm-hmm. It's not hard for him to do. And Davis looks like he picked up a copy of Whirler Virtuoso.
No blue mana.
Nope. He does have a Forest, an Emrakul in hand, and not a lot going on. Jim almost seems resigned to his fate at this point. However, it is Nahiri from a Cinderglade, not an Aetherworks Marvel.
Still really bad news.
Mm-hmm. Nahiri will go up. Jim says, 1 moment, please.
Well, I think Jim's saying you have to discard first before you draw.
Correct. So Stevens will do that, and he'll pass the turn back over to Davis. Davis will draw. Blue mana is here. We'll see if that serves Jim well. Here is Chandra. The Planeswalker battle begins.
You know, this is the most mana-efficient line from Davis, and also allows him to tax the Nahiri, prevent Nahiri from going ultimate.
Ulamog is the reveal. Redirect over to Nahiri, it appears. Bring it back down to 4. And that'll be Davis's turn. We head back over to Stevens. He'll untap and draw. Marvel is here. That's a tough one to get away from this turn. And there's 4 mana, and there is the Marvel. Time for Jim to maybe cross those fingers and hope that Stevens doesn't hit. Todd will fall down to 3 energy as he takes a look at the top 6 cards. We'll see if he can find a nice one here in the top 6. And Puzzle Knot isn't the worst I've ever seen, but that's not all that exciting.
I mean, it's a re-up.
It is.
You get to go again.
And in theory, because there's a second Puzzle Knot out there, that means actually it's 2 re-ups.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like he's going to go towards Attune. Perhaps. Stevens not entirely sure where to go. Looks like Attune will be the choice, however. So going to search for a basic, get 2 more energy. Todd will be up to 5 energy at this stage. Now we might see him go to Nahiri. Yep, back up to 6. Discard the forest he found with a tune. And a new card on the way. Picked up a hub. Play a hub. Back up to 6. Just that easy. Another activation next turn for Todd Stevens as we go over to Jim Davis. Davis will untap those 4 lands. He will draw a card. He's got all the colors of mana necessary as he picks up a copy of Aether Hub. However, the hand is pretty weak here for the defending player's champion. Ishkana without Delirium. A Whirler Virtuoso without any energy.
And a Emrakul without any mana or graveyard.
Yes. It's funny, when this deck looks good, like we saw from Jacob Ball last round, and like we're seeing from Todd Stevens right now, looks pretty darn good. When it looks bad, it can look pretty bad. A tune is the reveal, and now Davis has got to decide if he wants to cast it or if he wants to redirect over to Nahiri. We saw him redirect over to Nahiri last turn. Curious to see if he'll do it again this turn.
I mean, value in getting a little bit of energy here, and it gets him up to 3, which is a magic number for another Thopter off of the Whirler Virtuoso.
Mm-hmm.
Also gets another card type in the graveyard for Ishkana and Emrakul, plus it's more mana.
Mm-hmm. You're selling me on all of it.
I think there's enough small pieces to like here that it's worth casting. Also, you have another turn to respond to the Nahiri because it goes ultimate at 8, so if that's a concern of yours, you can cast the Attune this turn and then deal 2 next turn if you're feeling so inclined.
Well, Davis decides he's going to search for the forest. That may be Davis's play for the turn in regards to lands. Quick update for you on the backup match. Jeff Hoagland currently up a game over Andrew Jessup. So a very good start for second place in the SCG Tour Player of the Year race this year, looking to get a bye into tomorrow. There's Whirler Virtuoso. 3 energy. And Davis may just be passing the turn here. We'll go back over to Stevens. Picked up a copy of Spawning Bed. Hello.
Hello indeed. Yeah, just confirming here. Yep. 1 copy.
Okay. Didn't expect that. He'll start by activating the Marvel. No energy left. Top 6 cards. Jim doing a little drumming. He's a hoping.
Dune Rain.
World Breaker is a hit. Remember, you cast it, so exile target
Yeah.
artifact, enchantment, or land.
That looks right.
Yeah.
That looks right.
It's not quite Wasteland, but it'll work for you.
Good enough. I mean, it's harder to do. It requires way more work in this format,
true.
so I appreciate it. It's not a guarantee you could see this over the course of covering however many rounds of Standard, you know?
Nahiri going to go up to 8. Time for Stevens to discard. There goes a hub. Draw a card. Picked up a copy of Ishkana. Not quite sure if Delirium is in order just yet. But a Spawning Bed might be. 4 mana. Chandra. Torch of Defiance is now here for Todd Stevens. Davis already has one. It's going to start on 4 counters with a powerful Planeswalker from Kaladesh. It really is an interesting deck here, these Aetherworks decks, because they are very mid-rangey, but with a combo element built in.
And I think Todd's trying to get enough of an advantage here that even if Davis is able to spike an Emrakul off of an Aetherworks Marvel, he's not even in that much trouble.
Davis with 6 energy right now.
And now in the phase of World Breaker, not a lot of value to be gained by making Thopters. So I think Davis is likely to just keep all the energy and hope that he can get lucky with the Aetherworks Marvel off the top, as he does not have it in hand right now.
Davis on tap. Time for Jim to draw. Evolving Wilds to go along with a hub, an Emrakul, and an Ishkana. These draws remind me a little bit of Ben Friedman's draws in the finals of the Atlantic Invitational.
Yeah.
Not so great.
Davis here, perhaps a little under the weather.
He is. He is. It's been a tough day for him to try to defend his title that he cares so much about being under the weather here. He's going to plus a Chandra.
Okay.
Well, step one.
See Steven sit up in his seat a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He knows this could be a game now.
Well, you got to cast it. So enters the battlefield, does the Marvel. And Jim might say, yeah, I mean, I ain't got much else going on.
Yep, no reason to get tricky here and
Yeah.
wait. Just let it rip.
Top 6 here for Davis. The Servant of the Conduit. Let's make it 2 of those. Another Marvel and a Vessel.
That's really painful too, because if he got to take the extra turn here, then he can ultimate the Nahiri and basically brick off,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. Now, not only did he find nothing of substance, but the Nahiri can answer the Aetherworks Marvel. He can take the backup copy, but he has no route to energy right now. It's a full rebuild he needs from here.
Yeah. He'll get himself, I believe, 2 energy from this exchange. Yeah, because he's going to lose one of the Marvels, and they'll both trigger once something dies. So that part's nice, I suppose. But it is, as you mentioned, pretty large rebuild. Evolving Wilds for Jim will allow him to play a permanent that he can sacrifice to get another energy, so he could be on his way up to 3 here in no time. But Nahiri's at 8 for Todd Stevens. We know what that normally brings along with it.
Mm-hmm. A stone rain.
Maybe a little more than that. We'll see.
We'll see.
Marvel the draw there for Stevens. There will be a trigger from Nahiri going to the graveyard. Put a counter there. And now Nahiri is going to go searching something up. Hello, Ulamog. See where Stevens wants to go with this.
Well, interestingly enough, he has the route here of, attack you mill 20, put it back in my hand, sacrifice the spawning bed, then Scions plus Chandra gets you the hard cast.
And don't forget, when you sacrifice the Scions, I believe Marvel gets a little bit larger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's a combo right there.
There's a lot to like on that spawning bed.
That's not there on accident, folks.
That is every part of the buffalo right there. It's all of it.
Milling 20 here. Worldbreaker going at Chandra, Ulamog going at Jim. And Jim exiling his 20 cards from the Ulamog attack. They'll take a look at them together. Jim will lose some goodies. Allow Todd Stevens to look if he'd like. Those ones are gone for good. Now Jim just confirming, yes, Ulamog is attacking me, and yes, Worldbreaker is attacking my Planeswalker. Virtuoso will jump there.
Now the question is, can Davis survive the second Ulamog trigger? I would be surprised.
Well, he does lose 2 permanents there. So he's up to 5 energy now, is Jim Davis. Planeswalker, creature, instant sorcery in the graveyard. Stevens will sacrifice the Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. Gain some life. get 4 more energies, up to 5. And now Chandra's going to go up to 6. 2 more. This will let him recast a Marvel, lose 1 of them. Going to go up to 7 energy now. And now he'll activate right away. So Jim will do that steady beat with his fingers. Hope. Well,
there it is.
There it is. Yep, that didn't take any time.
Well, the upside, at least, is that it's different this time.
There you go, looking for that upside again.
You know,
There you go.
if you're going to take away anything positive here, at least it's different.
You know, I thought that joke would get old, but it's just still good.
It's still good.
It's just still good every time.
Listen, I'm not the one who said it first.
Yeah, it's still good every time. Here's a traverse. Stevens with Delirium, I believe, at this stage. I'd be shocked if he didn't. He's had everything else this game. Made this one look pretty easy thus far. Thinking Hub, getting energy.
Yeah, he's got ambitions to recast the Ulamog.
Sure.
Should we get to that point?
Could be this game plan.
I think it's likely that whatever happens on this Mindslaver is just going to be too much. We shall see.
Davis with a Hub, an Emrakul, and a Shikana. Drew a tune. And might as well lean back, play the Hub, get an energy.
You can attune, fail to find, Aetherworks Marvel, essentially fail to find.
Yep. Top 6.
I imagine both players get to see, but who knows?
Yeah. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. So here we go. Attune, Harness Lightning, Evolving Wilds, Vessel, Woodweaver's Puzzle Knot. Those all stink.
Yep.
Maybe I'll just take a Harness Lightning and throw it over at World Breaker.
Well, you can attune, fail to find, and then harness it for 5.
He's got to cast it right now, whatever he found.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. He doesn't float.
off of Marvel. So he can't live that dream.
Yeah.
I was with you there momentarily.
I'm really, obviously I'm very very tied up on this attune, fail to find line. I feel it's
that's your big plan.
It's essentially a Stone Rain, and you gotta take them all.
Well, we're going over to Jim Davis now. He'll draw. Servant of the Conduit.
Our spotter there for some nice little rub-ins.
You have no energy.
You have no energy. Please get the counter off.
Correct. Please move that. And now, to rebuild the energy. Attune. Jim out of blue sources?
He may only have one island in the deck.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, just one basic island. That got world broken.
Mm-hmm. A play I stand by for the record.
Of course, yeah. In case anyone at home didn't already know that. You approve of his land being killed. Okay.
I do.
Just
I do.
Yep. Next up for Davis is Ishkana, along with 3 spiders. Look, it's not impossible. It's going to be real hard, but it's not impossible. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I suppose with Aetherworks Marvel, there's still the hope of being able to string together enough hits.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be really, really tough, but it's not impossible. And if you're Jim, honestly, that's the only way you can look at it. I mean, this is for your tournament.
Yeah, I mean, you got to play this out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can see Stevens being extremely cautious and patient this game also. He is well aware of the stakes.
Here comes some average-sized creatures. One's a 13/13. The other's a 5/7. Jim's got some blocks to do. Ideally, the plan here is to block in a certain way to be able to reload up the Marvel, I imagine.
Yep, all the chump blocks are good.
Jim will take 8 trample. Fought out of 12. But 2 more energy on it to the Marvel. Traverse. I see. Oh, man. Land destruction you again? Actually, just kill your Marvel.
Yeah. I mean, even I in this spot would say, I think you're better served getting rid of the Aetherworks Marvel and not the Aether Hub.
Or a stray mountain, perhaps. Yeah. Another World Breaker. Take care of the Marvel. That's exiled.
Jim very delicately adding it to the pile of exile permanents he has.
Quite a few over there.
Yes.
Quite a few over there. We head back over to Davis. The deck has been unkind so far here for Jim. He'll draw a card. Harnessed Lightning. Not much better. All right. He can play this. Trigger. Pass the turn back. Ulamog. Oh, he might actually get to cast it.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Yeah, you can get to 10. The problem is that if you cast the Ulamog, even if you do something cool with it, then next turn Todd gets to take his turn and
mill him
attack with
20.
it, and I don't think that Jim can beat that.
Yeah, I don't think Tim has 20 cards left in his deck. If they ever get to counting it, we'll of course check.
So keep in mind a tactical moment that can come up in spots like this is if you have Emrakul plus anything else against an opposing Emrakul,
Yep.
you can send in their Emrakul and double block and have them order whatever the crappy creature you have is first.
A spider in this instance.
The spider. So,
and it'll deal 2 damage to the spider and 11 damage over to the Emrakul. So it's an advantage, to be sure. I think there's actually a lot that Jim can do this turn. And as cool as that spawning bed is, it might actually hurt Todd Stevens here. This is a little bit interesting spot. We can take a look at Chandra, too, to see what that can do in a spot like this. -7, you get an emblem. Whenever you cast a spell, that emblem deals 5 damage to target creature or player. That's a little risky.
and you can target yourself with this.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there are some spots where
Oh, yeah.
Chandra at 7 plus a hand of stuff you can get killed from this position.
Marvel's casting a spell when you actually do the reveal and everything. So, look, this has been a very, very ugly game for Jim Davis, but he might find a way here. He's going to start by attacking with Emrakul.
Yep, this is the free. Assign your spider first.
Mm-hmm. So Emrakul trades with the spider. More energy, up to 2. What's next here for Jim?
I mean, Stone Raining, using the spawning bed and sacrificing the Scions is a freebie. If there's anything to do that's better beyond that, that remains to be seen. And you can also basically burn off 6 energy here by sacrificing the Scions, activating the Aetherworks Marvel, and missing.
Yeah, but how do you contend with Chandra and the World Breakers?
Right. This is not quite a path for Davis to get out of this.
We don't think. But we're not sure. He gets 3 Scions. Sack them all for 6 energy.
I suppose the Aetherworks Marvel could do better than Brick here. There are some reveals
That's
here.
the other thing.
There are some reveals here that are punishing for Todd.
So he's got 3 colorless mana floating. Now he's got no energy left. So now Jim takes a look at the top 6 cards of Todd's deck. Harnessed Lightning, Vessel, Puzzle Knot, Hub, Evolving Wilds.
Nothing disastrous.
Mm-hmm. Steven's actually doing okay. Harness Lightning. He could just cast that to deal some damage over to World Breaker. That would deal 3 to that. And then Chandra can actually minus to deal 4 to 1.
Okay.
Yeah. So that will kill one of those.
Which is somewhat bad news, but again, not catastrophic.
Yep. He'll get an energy back, Will Stevens, because World Breaker died. And all things considered, that's not a bad turn.
And blowing up the land there keeps Stevens a turn off of casting the Ulamog,
Yep.
too, which is important.
Draw. Marvel. Not all that impactful. Interesting spot here now for Todd Stevens. It was looking very easy before. Now, I still think he's in a good spot, but not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Certainly if the table gets a little bit cluttered there. Of course, the Mind Slavers that your opponent yields could do some really, really destructive stuff. I still feel like Stevens ultimately has the resources here to manage this, but Davis has at least gotten to a spot where he's drawing live. And that's a nice hit there for Stevens off of the Chandra. I like casting the Attune both as a source of energy and to get land number 8, pair it with the Chandra, and be able to cast the Ulamog next turn, or at least force Davis to attack with the Emrakul.
And there's Ishkana with Delirium, of course. So 3 spiders here. And now looking to threaten Ulamog again. And Davis will take a look at the graveyard. See what Stevens is working with. And now Jim will untap. Time to draw. Attune brings him up to 6 energy. You see Jim's trying to figure out, how do I work my way through all this nonsense? Especially when his hand just isn't particularly good.
It's challenging because he knows that Ulamog is looming.
Mm-hmm.
The way to prevent that, at least for a little while, is to have Emrakul attack Chandra. But there are a couple problems with that. One is Stevens can say, okay, fine, no blocks, and start racing on the way back with Davis at 12 and Stevens having an Ishkana and the available mana to activate. Or Todd can also put enough toughness in front of the Emrakul to have Chandra survive and still cast the Ulamog. So he has 2 good paths depending on how he wants to manage this. This is all Davis can do, though. There is no way for him to win the game by saying go.
Oh, yeah, that's off the
Has to
table.
attack with Emrakul.
Yep.
Stevens has to make some more sort of mistake. I'm not even sure there's a mistake to make at this point because I think both paths are fine. If Stevens wants to race, that works. If Stevens is really committed to casting Ulamog next turn, I think that's also fine.
Yep. Emrakul's going after Chandra.
I think this is, you can see 13 points of attack coming in here, and it looks like Stevens is thumbing around 9 points of toughness. And the reason for this is that's enough of a chump block here, where if everything goes right, Chandra falls to 1 loyalty.
Or Jim could have a Harness Lightning and take care of something and trample over for enough to kill
Yes.
Chandra.
Having an instant speed removal spell is really good here.
Yeah.
But there was really no way to avoid this outcome unless Stevens was willing to commit World Breaker to a chump block.
Which, yeah, doesn't seem likely.
Sound right to me.
Yeah.
So, and because Davis has all this leftover energy, there's no Davis would be able to terminate any blocker, potentially. So there's no real way to cover this unless you're willing to commit everything to a chump block.
So there goes Spider, Ishkana, and Chandra. Now, if you're Todd Stevens, you better remember those energy triggers. That's important right now for your Marvel. Davis will play a Tune. Okay, no Island to search up in this instance for Jim. That got destroyed by World Breaker earlier. That said, up to 7 energy. Jim kind of looking through his deck to see what else, what other tools I have to play with here. And now we're going to head back over to Todd Stevens. First of all, we're going to have to find out is there's a Servant that's going to bring Jim up even more energy to 9. We're going to have to find out if the Marvel's going to be good, if he has the ability to get to Ulamog again. He's going to start with the Marvel, bring himself down to 1 energy. Pretty big here for Jim. Pretty big here for Todd, too, honestly. That's a hit.
That counts.
Yep.
That's just lethal. I mean,
Yeah, it just takes care of this game.
Stevens can take care of the 2 blockers. Attack. The Ulamog trigger kills Jim. I mean, that's it.
Mm-hmm. It's an untap, and it's a draw here for Todd Stevens. Servant of the Conduit with the draw. And now here come the attackers, trigger, and that is going to do it. Todd Stevens is going to win game number 1 here over Jim Davis. Now Aetherworks up a game here over Teamer Aetherworks. Davis fought hard in that instance, but it was just too much to overcome.
It's interesting because, you know, the game went on for an extremely long time. You almost forgot about Davis's mulligan to 5. In some respects, it doesn't feel that impactful because Davis was clearly able to play Magic. But it took him so long to get the ball rolling at all, to get enough energy plus pieces to do anything. By that point, Stevens had generated such a huge advantage that Davis was on the back foot the whole time, and even some good hits off the Aetherworks Marvel, a couple well-timed Mind Slavers that he managed very well, he couldn't overcome that early deficit.
Just a lot to get through.
Yes.
That's just kind of how this deck works. They're going to grind you down. They're going to slog you. And eventually they're going to beat you, and that's exactly what ended up happening there. So we're going to take a look at the sideboards here for both players. We will start over here with Todd Stevens. I imagine the sideboards look somewhat similar. 4 Tireless Tracker, Harness Lightning, 3 Kozilek's Return, 3 Natural State, 2 Tears of Alikut, an Ishkana Graph Widow, and a Blighted Woodland here for Stevens.
I like the Ishkana here. The Blighted Woodland seems great for a matchup that's a little bit on the slower side. And then, of course, 4 copies of Tireless Tracker, one of the most important cards in the matchup, with both players citing in more removal, being able to fight over Aetherworks Marvel, just turning it into a grind fest and a value fest is, I think, the best post-board plan.
For Davis, 3 Tireless Tracker, a World Breaker, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Kozilek's Return, 4 Natural State, 2 Negate, and a Tears of Alikut. I know you like those blue cards.
Love the blue cards in this matchup, particularly Negate, which is a good answer to Aetherworks Marvel, and the Planeswalker. The copy of World Breaker and the 3 Tireless Trackers also very solid here.
Well, these players will shuffle up. They'll get ready here for game number 2 as Stevens is currently up a game over Davis. Davis will be on the play with his Teamer Aetherworks deck. We'll take this moment to talk about StarCityGames.com Game Night, the very popular promotion where this month we've got Fintuition.
You can head over to go.starcitygames.com/game night and find out more information about Game Night. Every month we make new kits with pins and tokens we send to the stores that are signed up for Game Night. Stores then can run Game Night however they want to, any day of the week, any format they want, just to get players in the store on a regular basis for some fun and friendly Magic. It's December right now, which means the kit that is out is Fintuition. We have the next couple of months here ready to go. In January it is Squeaky Cheeky Acorn Breaker, and then February Corgi Firewalker. Again, go.starcitygames.com/game night. Find out more information. Stores, if you want to get signed up for Game Night and you aren't already signed up, contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
Todd Stevens currently up a game here over Jim Davis as these players play to see who will be playing tomorrow. The 30-year-old from Denton, Texas, has had an interesting tournament. Charlotte Sultai was a good start in a Legacy. A Modern, he played Eldrazi-tron, very, very risky there. And that ended up putting him here with Aetherworks with his back against the wall. Not afraid to try some things, that's for sure, with Stevens, especially if you do watch his stream. He loves to brew. The Eldrazi-tron choice, I'm curious to see if he liked or disliked the decision, but he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He's here. He's got to win another game here with Aetherworks to get through to the second day.
And pretty heavily metagamed for the mirror, having 2 main deck copies of World Breaker and 2 main deck copies of Ulamog. That's a lot of commitment to getting an edge in the mirror match. And those cards, alongside Jim's mulligan to 5 here, critical in Todd picking up that first game and getting 1 game closer, 1 game away from making the second day of competition.
But again, he's against the defending champion here, is Stevens and Jim Davis. So we're going to see if Davis can tie things up. I can say with some certainty that Davis's draws in that first game, not particularly good. He did make a good go of it there with the Emrakul and some other tools, but for the most part, not great.
And Whirler Virtuoso, his splash card, game 1, was nonsense.
Yeah, didn't do anything.
Did not do anything, particularly in comparison to Stevens' Nihiri.
Yeah. Nihiri is picking up.
I wonder what the win rate is of Nihiri against opponent with no creatures in play. What does that win rate look like?
Probably like you play it on the board and they have nothing.
They cannot attack.
Yeah, probably extremely high.
Extremely
it has
high.
so much loyalty.
It goes to 6.
Yeah. It's so much loyalty.
And then in 2 turns, you're dead.
Yeah. It's pretty silly,
And
honestly.
if you can muster some offense, they get to loot and swallow up your attacks for a million turns.
It's funny because, when this card was first initially released, I think the Magic community was excited about it, and understandably so. But it just took a little bit of time to kind of catch on.
Well, it's easy, when you're looking at formats like Modern, where that ultimate of you win the game if you have 1 Emrakul in your deck.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's easy to imagine Jeskai control already a deck. This is all very natural. In Standard, and also there's just a plethora of enchantments and artifacts that are good in the Eternal formats also. When you get to Standard, it's, can I build a red-white mid-range deck? Can I play with creatures where the ultimate is you win the game or close to it and not have these horrible 10 and 12 drops in my deck that I don't want to draw? And now all the moons have aligned where there's quality artifacts and enchantments to fight over, and the Eldrazi represent cards that are both extremely powerful to put into play ahead of schedule and are also fine cards to put in your deck and draw naturally. And now Nihiri, as such, gets to show up all over the place.
Yeah. And Nihiri is looking good, that's for sure. Looking good.
Constructed Magic, especially Standard, has historically not been favorable to red-white mid-range decks that play with really expensive creatures. Both players here on 6, and it looks like both now going to 5.
Oh, boy. I don't know who this favors, assuming it favors anyone. Probably not.
I think the counter spells probably get better on the 5-card games, but now Tireless Tracker is really magnified. If one of these players is able to find it along with a land to get the ball rolling, that's going to be a huge edge here. There's sometimes in the games where both players have enough resources and just cards are kind of flowing, where one person can have Tireless Tracker going, and it isn't necessarily insurmountable because there's just enough stuff going on both sides. But with both players on 5 cards, that's way less likely to be the case. And if someone has an unchecked Tireless Tracker, that's likely to be it.
And again, sometimes with this deck, and, they're obviously different third colors in the deck, but there are some very good hands that involve Planeswalkers and acceleration and attunes, and there can be some very bad hands.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can, in these kind of games, you are really going to feel drawing the Emrakul.
Yeah. Both players are going to keep, I think, with a little bit of reluctance. Both players are going to scry to the bottom. This should be a real doozy. You see Todd Stevens smile. Jim Davis is going to start things off with a Vessel. Stevens with a Hub.
Well, the Vessel's one of the best cards you can have on these in the 5-card games here, as it's a way to grease the wheels a little bit on the graveyard, some amount of selection here. And Todd with his sideboarded Blighted Woodland, another very nice card to have on 5 cards.
Yeah.
Alongside Tireless Tracker. That is a combo.
It is a combo. Davis, his hand is all lands, but that's totally fine.
Yep.
At least gets to do his thing. Stevens is drawing Tireless Tracker.
Ooh, I think Stevens' hand is really bad, though.
I don't think it's very good. Davis is going to sacrifice his Vessel. Top couple of cards, a Vessel, a negate, a tune. So a Vessel. That's a Traverse? No, it's a vessel. Okay.
Try again.
Yeah.
Missing on. I've gotten to watch some of Davis's games in the gallery.
Uh-huh.
It has been a rough couple of rounds for him. I think mulliganing to 5 for the second time and then missing on a vessel would just be too much.
Just over the edge. There's a vessel. Pass the turn back. Stevens. All right, that counts.
Okay.
That counts.
That's a card.
Yep.
That's a real card.
Had to use his hub energy to get there. Davis will sacrifice his other vessel. Aetherworks Marvel. Ceremonious Rejection. A Mountain and a Servant of the Conduit. He's only got 1 energy to work with right now. Yeah, it's hard to pass that one up, I think.
Well, Stevens is up to nothing.
Yeah. You see Jim organizing his graveyard. 5 different types in the graveyard right now. So Emrakul is going to cost 8. As Jim will draw. Nice.
That is nice.
And Ulamog. We might see that one a little later. Davis will play a Mountain. And Shoulder Shrug, play a Marvel. Pass turn back. Only 1 energy. He's got some work to do. Stevens has drawn a copy of Chandra. You mentioned that Stevens' hand's not particularly good, and I think I agree.
Well, he can at least cast the Tireless Tracker in his hand.
Yep.
That is some amount of pressure if Davis continues to fumble. And if Steven draws a land, now the ball's rolling a little bit.
Davis will draw a Tune.
Okay.
That'll get him up to 3 energy, and then Servant will bring him up to 5. But it feels like we're playing one of those games where it's a Marvel game with 1 shot.
Yes.
And Jim has already milled over 3 of his counter spells. And Davis will search up a Mountain. See what comes next here from the defending player's champion. He'll use the hub for a colorless. There's the Servant, up to 5 energy. This is an island. Pass the turn back, I imagine. Yep. Todd Stevens will draw. Slow roll himself a little. All right, that's a land.
I guess.
It counts. Come on,
I
it
guess.
counts.
I guess.
It's not the prettiest land I've ever seen, Cinderglade, but it's a land. Both these players fumbling and bumbling around.
Mm-hmm. Although now that it's interesting in a game that's this kind of uneven, that Servant of the Conduit's kind of a moat right now because Stevens does not want to put card number 6 in the graveyard. His hand is not served to be any sort of big Eldrazi. So if Davis doesn't have access to the 6 energy, don't give it to him, and you can sit behind your Tireless Tracker.
Davis will draw. He has a Tireless Tracker of his own now.
That's really nice because if the Tireless Tracker lives, then that's great. Now you're starting to recoup these cards.
Mm-hmm.
If the Tireless Tracker dies, energy number 6, and you get to spin the wheel.
Well, I don't want you to forget something here. Tireless Tracker makes a clue.
Oh, yes. He just got it wrong.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Now we got it.
Play a land, make a clue, sacrifice the clue. That's a permanent that goes into the graveyard. Jim sees this play, I think, right away. So that's energy number 6. He'll, of course, get to draw a card because he sacrificed the clue. And now we might just see him spend the Marvel right away. Yeah. Fire away, Jim Davis. Top 6. We'll see how he does. It's not Eclectic Company. It might be a little bit better than that. A hub, a Chandra, a Puzzle Knot, a Ceremonious Rejection, and a Tune. Cinderglade.
I mean, Chandra is not terrible,
Seen worse.
but this is not a hit.
Nope.
And again, you know, it's going to be problematic for Davis to reassemble 6 energy. Now, Tireless Tracker can help if that sticks, and at least he's not under that much pressure. but it could be a while before he's able to get to activate that Marvel again. And keep in mind, now it's tapped. If Stevens is able to snap off a Nahiri next turn, Davis is basically just on this tireless tracker and maybe the promise of Ulamog somewhere down the line.
Cards will go to the bottom. Chandra starts on 4. We'll see where it goes next. Down to 1 and take care of the tracker.
Looks right to me.
Yeah, just got to get it off the battlefield. Time to crack. The clue, Stevens will draw a card. Evolving Wilds Attune.
Nothing wrong with an Evolving Wilds here, I believe, with another copy of Tireless Tracker in hand.
Yeah. Attune's not bad either.
Also can play his own Chandra to finish off a Chandra, but at that point his Chandra is under duress from the Tireless Tracker.
Yep.
He can also play his own copy of Chandra.
Just kill the Tireless Tracker.
But then the Chandra gets to take care of his Chandra.
Yeah. It's weird spots all around. Stevens will use his final energy. There's Chandra. He'll take care of the tracker. And actually, at this point, it'll actually be the Servant of the Conduit that takes care of the Chandra.
Sure, either way,
I think, yeah.
Davis has it covered is the point.
Well, I think that Todd would be happier if Jim had to plus his Chandra to take care of Chandra,
Just
as
because-
opposed to potentially getting a free card here.
Just because Davis is struggling for cards so much.
Yeah.
And now, if Davis's Chandra is able to stick, he's at 7 mana right now with the land that he plays. Ulamog in hand.
Well, Ulamog just costs 10, right?
Yeah, so he's...
He can just cast it now. He has 7
Oh,
lands
yeah,
plus
Servant also.
Servant.
Yeah, he's just good to go.
Yeah, shoulder shrug. Plus it, get 2 red. That was easy. It's weird because sometimes this deck just kind of explodes with mana when you don't realize it. There's Ulamog. Yeah, Todd says I am beat, and I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. There is no beating that Ulamog in this spot. Jim Davis is going to tie things up against Todd Stevens. Team Aetherworks, Naya Aetherworks, going to game number 3 in what have been some weird, disjointed, and sometimes lopsided games.
Yeah, it's not been exactly art so far.
Yeah.
But there's a lot on the line here, and Davis now tied up after back-to-back mulligans to 5. Maybe with an opportunity to play tomorrow to continue to defend his title. You know, for Stevens, when you're in a position, we've seen this over the last couple of years for the Players' Championship, when you're one of the players who you maybe are not a household name or you're kind of up and coming on the scene, and the qualifying for the Players' Championship represents the biggest competitive accomplishment that you've had thus far, you really don't want to finish in the bottom 4.
Yeah.
I've seen it over the last couple of years. There's a validation that comes with at least getting to play in the second day. And so for both of these players, a lot on the line.
Well, we will learn a little bit more about Jim Davis in just a moment. We'll talk about the StarCityGames.com newsletter right now. It's your source for Magic the Gathering news. I'm sure we'll be writing about this tournament all next week, but there's a whole lot more going on in there.
Oh, you got all the latest information on Star City Games with the latest information about the SCG Tour, a selected SCG Tour match of the week, exclusive deck lists and advice from many of your favorite columnists. You can catch up on all the recent event results, an exclusive cardboard crack comic, and best of all, signing up is free over at go.starcitygames.com/newsletter.
We see G News in there sometimes. We see Todd Stevens in there too. And right now, we're going to watch Jim Davis, Todd Stevens play one final game. It's our last game to close out all our coverage here today. For Davis, of course, he is the defending Players' Champion. A little under the weather here. He's the 32-year-old from Long Island, New York, but he's gutting it out. He's had a great year. Legacy deck, Sultai Delver here this weekend, not much of a surprise. For Modern, Grixis Delver, again, not much of a surprise. Now Standard, he did play an Esper aggro deck at our Invitational 2 weekends ago, where he got 4th place. However, this weekend he's changed it up. He's playing Team Aetherworks, maybe to get a little bit of an edge in the mirror. And really, we're going to see how the decision pans out in this third game.
Yes, I think the counter spells are still going to be very solid for Davis, but there's just a lot of things going on in the matchup. And post-board, it's possible the Tireless Tracker is the more more impactful than the counter spells even. It gives someone such a big advantage because trying to combo out is problematic because people have more interaction for it. But the Eldrazi are still totally castable if you're able to play a control game and go late, and a Tireless Tracker is the best way to bridge you from the early spots of the game to the later spots. So we saw Davis there squeeze a little bit of value out of the Tireless Tracker, which allowed him to activate the Aetherworks Marvel, that allowed him to get to Chandra, that allowed him to hard cast the Ulamog. It wasn't all fireworks, but the Tireless Tracker was critical in every stage of that.
Has not been fluid ballet these games.
No, it's been choppy.
Yeah. They're trying to make something work. The power level of the deck, undeniable, but it has been a little choppy, as you did mention.
Back against the wall. Does the defending champ get to keep 7?
That's the question. The answer is yes. We're underway. Todd will start with an attune. Two energy, of course, for Stevens. He'll search up a basic mountain. We'll head back over to Jim Davis. 4 is the draw here for Jim. See the hub he has in this, and a Chandra as well. Jim will also start with an attune. We'll see what land he wants to search up, and we'll head over to Stevens while he does. A little bit of shortcutting. He'll search for a basic mountain. Both players with 2 energy. Stevens will play his mountain. And now he will play his puzzle knot.
So I'm a little surprised to see this post board.
Likewise.
This is a great card for game 1 of this deck, where you are first and foremost an Aetherworks Marvel deck. Post board, typically you're de-emphasizing that part of your game plan and becoming more of a mid-range deck that happens to have Aetherworks Marvel. That's especially the case when you're playing against the blue builds that have counter spells, so your Aetherworks Marvel is just intrinsically less powerful in the post board games. But I think Stevens has Aetherworks Marvel in hand, so this could all lead to just a turn 4, here it is.
Yep. Let's see if it's good enough. Type draw.
Which is pretty rare in the post-board games. I do not see that very frequently.
Servant of the Conduit here from Davis. He's up to 5 energy. He'll pass the turn back over to Stevens. Stevens will draw. Attune. Energy not going to be a problem for Todd this game.
And he's got, I believe, the Spawning Bed in hand also.
Yep.
So that's 4 mana.
There's the attune. And now another puzzle knot. Yeah, I'm surprised to see multiple puzzle knots. Maybe I was thinking maybe he had 1 left in just because he didn't have enough cards to sideboard out. But
also, you know, it's not like Davis is just brimming with counter spells post board. He's got 4.
Yep.
Maybe Stevens thinks that's just not enough for him to be getting away from the Aetherworks Marvel to such a degree.
Yeah.
Again, my instinct once you're tireless trackering post board is just settle in for that kind of game and make sure your cards are individually impactful. But it could be good here. I mean, this game might effectively end next turn if Stevens has Aetherworks Marvel and a good hit.
We know he's got plenty of good options to bring to the table. Multiple Ulamogs in the main deck, World Breakers 2, and of course Emrakul. Plenty of hits here for Stevens if he decides to go that route next turn. For now, Davis thinking about attacking, I believe. He's a little unsure at this stage.
Well, you know, he's looking at a hand right now. He could, for example, cast a Chandra if he was feeling so inclined.
Mm-hmm.
He might feel like he has to keep up appearances.
The question I ask is if he decides to do that, for how long?
Well, Ceremonious Rejection is not the hardest card in the world to leave up.
It's true.
It's 1 mana. And this play right here is kind of the best of both worlds, where you play Tireless Tracker, you play an Aether Hub, you're representing blue mana, and you've done something proactive.
Yep. We'll head over to Stevens.
But if I'm Stevens and I'm keeping these puzzle knots in my deck, I'm snapping it off right here. I'm not, I mean, this is what you came here to do.
Yep.
You know? And it only gets worse because Davis also has 2 negates, and he's going to start drawing cards off the Tireless Tracker, so he's more likely to have counter spells.
So this might be as open as the window gets.
Right.
Yeah.
I know it's tough. You know, you're here all year, and okay, going to take a slightly more conservative route.
Well, see, the reason I think he's going towards Chandra here is, of course, because Ceremonious Rejection cannot take care of this.
Yeah.
With only 1 mana available. So this is definitely going to resolve. I can take care of your tracker. Yeah, my creature will die the Servant of the Conduit, but it still does have the same problem of the counter spells now available.
And I'm not, and now you're in this reality. Serve the Conduit attacks your Chandra. Go. Now Davis can sacrifice the Clue and get another card, and negate is now in the equation.
Mm-hmm. He's not doing so great.
Nope.
I recommend NyQuil, extra strength.
I mean, I think that's going to depend on the outcome of this game.
that's totally reasonable.
We might be going with something a little bit stiffer here. Stevens pulls out this 3rd game.
Yep. Davis is going to put the shields down, it looks like, for a turn. Maybe he wants to rep.
Well, this is interesting now, because if you're in Davis's seat, you got to figure out, well, would he have cast Aetherworks Marvel if he had it last turn?
Mm-hmm.
If the answer is no, then you got to keep up holding up the 1 mana.
Yep.
If he was willing to commit last turn, you got to keep up the charade.
Yeah, Davis is going to reveal the top card. If I'm Jim, I really hope it's not Ceremonious Rejection. Because that's just 1 less of them I have. Jeez. Oh my God.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I really didn't want it to be that if I'm Jim.
No. Well? Well, he's got his 1 in the hand, or it's not there.
Yep.
Let's do what we came here to do.
And Stevens does not have much going on
Right.
in his hand.
Well, once you're on the puzzle not plan, you can't play the normal game.
Nope.
You are a combo deck.
So there is the Marvel.
That is a brutal reveal for Davis.
It
Because
really is.
if there's 2 floating around the deck somewhere, you know, Stevens respected it last turn. He might continue to respect it, but when you reveal 1, the odds have got a lot more favorable.
Well, now Davis needs him to brick. 4, 5, 6. He missed.
Well, kind of.
Sort of. Yeah.
This is he gets to go
he gets
again.
to go again
Yeah.
right away. Okay, not really a miss.
He gets
Okay.
2 energy off the trigger, and so
So he'll lose the old one. He'll get 2 energy.
That was the browse part.
Okay.
Now we get the show and tell part.
Gotcha.
Here comes Ulamog.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He missed again.
But he's got quite a lot of energy to work with here.
Yes, he does.
He is going to get to go again and again.
But for now, Davis is alive. I think Vessel might be the best of the bunch. We'll see what Stevens wants to select. Boys, revealing that Ceremonious Rejection
Brutal.
really just puts the appearances just up in smoke.
Yep. Davis had a nice couple turns there of being able to do the best proactive thing that he had to do in his hand and also have Stevens respect Ceremonious Rejection. But that's a brutal reveal. Plus, it would have been a nice card to draw.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So
To Davis we go. Emrakul the draw. A little ways away from that.
well, you say that, but we're at land drop gets us to 8 mana, 2 card types. All right, a little bit of a ways
Yeah,
away.
it costs 11 right
We
now.
laughed at the Ulamog last game.
We
Before
did.
you know it, Stevens was conceding to it.
Yep.
So and Davis not in a position here to really interact with what's on the battlefield. He has his Eldrazi he can hit, but he's a ways from casting them. And as far as I can see, does not have Aetherworks Marvel in hand.
Yeah, not a lot going on at this stage. Davis is going to plus his Chandra. Maybe. He's got some thinking to do. Remember, once Steven sacrifices a Puzzle Knot, that's just 4 more energy.
Yep.
Top card.
Take 2. You take 2.
That was easy. What's next for Jim? Hub. Up to 5. Remember, he's got a clue that he can sacrifice at any stage. Might be thinking Traverse. I'm going to go Vessel. Looks like he's going to go Crack Vessel. Maybe.
Probably Harness Lightning, take care of the mana creature.
Okay.
Doesn't really prevent very much from Stevens' side, but we might as well do it. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Not doing a whole lot
Brings
else.
Stevens up to 3 energy, brings Jim up to 6. Jim with an Emrakul and a Puzzle Knot in hand. He'll attack for 2. Going to bring Stevens down to 22.
Lumps.
Yeah. You got to start somewhere.
Medicine.
Yeah. Ooh, Worldbreaker was the draw. That's one less to hit.
All right, well, let's do what we came to do.
Energy up. Puzzle Knot. Energy up. Stevens is 0 for 2.
So I'm not sure if I like that better than just sacrificing the Puzzle Knot. I suppose he wants to cast what he wants to cast, but it does mean that if Davis had negate, he would keep him off of Aetherworks Marvel activation this turn.
It's very true. Stevens is what I would say is no longer 0 for 3. The question you have to ask yourself is just how good is Worldbreaker right now?
It's not nothing. I mean, it's not a huge hit here. But if Davis is kind of floundering around here with just Chandra and no Aetherworks Marvel, I mean, it's the best thing going on.
Now, Nahiri was also in there for Todd Stevens. I'm not sure how well Nahiri lines up on this battlefield. Maybe better than I'm giving it credit for.
If I'm Stevens, I'm kind of in the market for just try to Haymaker Davis over and over again. You're not going to run out of Aetherworks Marvel activation.
Yeah, not this game.
So it's just over the long haul, can he beat you with you just taking the biggest Haymaker over and over again?
I don't like a tune. It just doesn't seem powerful enough.
And remember, he's not going to touch your copy of Aetherworks Marvel.
Yeah, once it's on the battlefield, it's just there.
Suppose you can find Ulamog, but...
Yeah, you know, like a tune lets Stevens search for a land, get some 2 more energy, brings him up to 4, which means he can start sacrificing Puzzle Knots a lot easier. I could see the rationale here.
It just feels too low impact. And
yeah.
Ultimately, I think Stevens is making the right call here. I understand there's an efficiency argument. You get your energy. Now the Puzzle Knots are a lot smoother. But you're not going to run. The bottleneck here is going to be on I can only activate Aetherworks Marvel once a turn. It's not going to be about whether or not he has enough green mana to sacrifice his Puzzle Knots. If he runs out of energy, it's not going to be that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think you just want to go with the high power play.
Just keep doing this over and over again.
Worldbreaker will take care of Jim's Forest. Davis is going to use an energy to sacrifice the Vessel. We know what Jim's on the hunt for. 3, 4. Nope.
I mean, he's burned off 4 bad draws at least.
That's true.
That is not what he's looking for.
Jim Davis wants a Marvel.
And he's got to find it fast, too, because it's very hard keeping up with your opponent who's show and telling every turn.
Yeah, just marveling every turn, yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah. Jim is going to take a hub. The rest will go to the graveyard. Remember, it is a Vessel, not a Marvel that Jim is activating.
If he's got 5 card types, I mean, he can 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, land drop is 8. I mean, he can cast an Emrakul here with 5 card types in the graveyard.
Yeah, there are 5.
He's got instant, land, sorcery, enchantment, creature.
He's counting. He's shrugging. I've been watching Jim play Magic for the past 3 years, doing coverage of him. I know where he's going. It's the Jim Davis shoulder shrug.
Yep.
I guess this is what I'm doing. Okay. He's got to wreck him this turn. It's got to be good.
Oh, I mean, he can really shoot the moon here with Ulamog if he wants it.
It's got to be good. Draw Tireless Tracker. All right, staring down 3 puzzle knots. Taking a look at World Breaker.
Oh, yeah. That's a Stone Rain, too.
Yep.
Make it attack, block it, put it back in the hand.
Yep.
It's even got the spawning bed. I mean, it's all
there.
It's all there.
Yeah. Sacrifice the green land.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lot to think about. This game was looking bad for Jim. Much like game 1, he is trying to claw his way back into it. And we just kind of undervalue, I think, the mana acceleration this deck provides for Emrakul and for Ulamog through Chandra and through Servant.
I remember watching the Pro Tour coverage and seeing a lot of Aetherworks Marvel players just die with a bunch of Ulamogs and Emrakuls in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Chandra, and to a lesser extent Nahiri, makes those cards into things you can realistically cast. And Davis here with 5 lands in play, casting an Emrakul. It takes a long time to figure out exactly this kind of recipe. The all-in version, that makes a lot of sense to find week 1, to have at the Pro Tour. This is an evolution, and it just takes time to figure something like this out.
Yeah, you're not going to find this in 2 weeks. You know, first Pro Tour with no metagame or anything like that. It's just too hard, but that's what's kind of great about Magic. The game evolves. Players really dive into deck building, and they have found this Naya Aetherworks deck and this Teamer Aetherworks deck. And now Jim is trying to use his opponent's weapon against him.
Yeah, I wonder if the reasoning here is just I can't really make any incremental gains that are impactful enough with Steven's Aetherworks marveling every single turn. Maybe I just need to marvel first, hit something huge, and then proceed.
Top 6, Vessel, Evolving Wilds, Nahiri, Chandra, Tracker, Emrakul. Take a look.
Nahiri is, I think, Jim making sure, can I use this to destroy an opposing Aetherworks marvel?
Which you can. We'll take a look into here. Exile target creature.
Or, excuse me,
your own, yeah.
Via Mindslaver.
So target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature. Yes, you can. Nahiri is very appealing now.
And then you can force the World Breaker to attack, and then you have Emrakul plus Chandra ready to ultimate against a floundering battlefield.
Yeah.
Very good position to be in.
Here's Nahiri. Yeah, Stevens already knows what's happening. Of course, Jim is commanding him to do so.
Mm-hmm.
World Breaker. Go to the garbage. Had about enough of that. It's a real good Emrakul turn.
That was nice.
Now these puzzle knots look real bad. Stevens we go. Servant the draw. Stevens does have an active Nahiri now, so that does matter. He'll start there. Up to 4. Discard. What's a discard? I think in Tracker. This game's not about that anymore.
Yeah, we're past that.
Chandra the draw. Time to cast it. Up to 5. Tracker. I'm going to knock Chandra down, I think, to 5 as well. So Chandras are tied up at 5 counters apiece.
Yep, prevent an emblem from coming into this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever seen an emblem in the mirror, but in this sort of spot with Stevens kind of floundering, I imagine it would be very good.
Yeah.
Also, he's about to take 13 if Jim's feeling so inclined.
Yeah. Something's taken 13.
Yeah, you can add up a lot of points that way.
Davis will draw Marvel. No energy. He's got some. Don't have a great look at how much energy Jim has.
Well, I mean, he has enough. If he pluses the Chandra for mana, he's got enough to cast the Puzzle Knot and Aetherworks Marvel in the same turn. So that should get him there.
Well, he's got 5, so it's not hard for him to get there.
Yep.
These games are swingy, man.
Yep. Mindslaver is a swingy card.
Yeah,
As are 13/13s.
yeah, these
So,
games are swingy. I thought Todd Stevens was going to run away with this thing with the fact he could activate Marvel just every turn with ease.
yeah, Stevens really needed that Aetherworks Marvel activation to be a brick. But there's a lot of hits in the deck, and anything that exiled, be it Ulamog, be it Nahiri, something that exiled the Aetherworks Marvel. Now Stevens is dealing with just a bunch of puzzle knots and serving the conduits.
Nemricool. Coming on in. And it's going to take care of Nahiri.
I'm guessing Davis wants to get the Nahiri off the battlefield, so in the event that he wants to go to Puzzle Knot plus Aetherworks Marvel and misses, then he gets another shot with the Aetherworks Marvel.
Yep. There's Marvel. Servant will bring him down to 4. Puzzle Knot will bring him back up to 6. He has not used his Chandra just yet either. Could see him fire off with the Marvel in his main phase. He might just wait.
And you can see, even though you can't see his face, you can kind of see from Stevens' body language here that this game was looking optimistic. Had Aetherworks Marvel. Looked like he had the ability to just keep it going forever. Davis had nothing powerful going on. And that Emrakul swung this game entirely around. And now Stevens needs to hope for a lot of breaks in a row.
And Davis is going to minus his Chandra to take care of the Servant. And now he will cash in and use his Marvel. Top 6 cards. Does Jim Davis hit a Forest, Harness Lightning, Marvel? Ooh,
That's going to do
Lamog.
it. That's going to do it.
The same card that won him the Players' Championship last year against Todd Anderson, I think, is moving him on to day number 2 of competition. The Eldrazi will come in and take care of Chandra and a Forest. And there's no coming back from this for Todd Stevens. He'll untap. And he will draw a card. Aether Hub's not bad, but he's facing down a little too much, I think, at this point, Patrick.
Yeah, this is, I mean, no access to Aetherworks Marvel. Even if he had it, unlikely to be good enough. His hand's nothing.
If I ask Jim Davis his favorite creature moving forward, if Ulamog's not his answer, he's not being honest.
It's been doing some work.
Yeah, over the past couple Players Championships, yeah.
Made him a couple dollars.
Yeah.
Done a little bit of work.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Davis is going to untap. Plenty of powerful Eldrazi and Chandra out there. He'll draw a card here in just a moment.
You can even go again with the Aetherworks Marvel.
If he wants. It's not too tough. Sacrifice a Puzzle Knot, sack a Clue, stuff like that. Not too hard. Now it's just time for Jim to close it out. We'll start by plussing. Top card, negate. Well, the counter spells have stunk.
That's not their fault. He hasn't drawn them.
They have stunk.
Certainly not the counterspell's fault.
Beatdowns. Davis always wants to make sure of himself when he plays. Doesn't want to get too ahead of himself. Here's Nulamog trigger, top 20.
I like the Alpha Strike.
Oh, you're yeah. You didn't even need the coffee for that one.
I understand, it's a high leverage match. You want to be careful.
Always be careful.
I like the attack.
Gets the Patrick Sullivan seal of approval.
Mm-hmm.
See if Stevens wants to do any blocking here as he takes what I believe to be his final turns here of this tournament.
And if he no blocks and falls to 1, then the backup Chandra should do it.
And that will do it. Jim Davis is going to win this match here over Todd Stevens, 2-1. Teamer Aetherworks is going to get by Nye Aetherworks. And for the defending players champion, he's had his back up against the wall before. He had it there again, and he won both times. We'll be seeing him tomorrow for our standard portion.
Yep. Congratulations to Jim Davis. This tournament is